Hey there, fellow wanderers. Can you imagine stepping onto a path where ancient stories echo with each footfall? It's a cool, crisp morning. The horizon is a hazy smudge of soft greys and oranges, where the sun yawns awake over drowsy hills. The air carries a moist earthiness, mingling with the faint smell of wood smoke from distant hearths. You tighten your cloak against the gentle caress of a chilly breeze, as the timeless landscape unfolds before you, a dance of silence and whispers, cradling secrets older than memory itself. This is not a fairy tale, but the very real, raw journey of medieval travel on foot. An adventure where the road is more than just dirt beneath your boots. It's a passage through culture, time, and survival. So before we dive deeper, I ask only this. If this kind of raw, unvarnished truth speaks to you, click like, hit subscribe, and leave a trace of yourself in the comments. Tell me your city, your time, your state of mind. Now, dim the lights. Let the hum of your fan blend with the wind of centuries past. Let's begin. And remember, in medieval times, even survival was a luxury. Your journey begins with the simple act of walking, the most universal method of travel in medieval times. It's a curious thing to set out, with nothing more than your feet to carry you. Few travelers would claim it as their first choice given the means. Yet many trod the paths with nothing else but sturdy shoes and determination. You won't need a special mount or fancy contraptions. Here it's all about the rhythm of your feet and the steady pace of pilgrimage. In medieval Europe, roads were more like trails, winding serpentine through lush forests and past vibrant meadows, linking rustic hamlets to bustling cities. Walking is democraticate, respects neither rank nor wealth. As commoners and nobility alike trudge through the mud, the journey's challenges are shared. You nudge aside stray thorns and become acquainted with blisters, which layered themselves like an unwanted medieval tapestry on many a traveller's feet. But don't fret. This small agony is an inevitable part of the experience. At least gasoline prices aren't a concern, right? This was a time when the sound of wheels was rare, replaced by an endless symphony of footsteps. While traversing the countryside, you'll encounter fellow travelers, each bearing their own stories and hopes, and perhaps even a joke or two to lighten the mood. As you exchange tidbits about where you've been and where you're headed, there's a shared understanding of the terrain, a mutual resilience against nature's whims, and maybe some gossip about your last innkeeper who believed wholeheartedly in goblin folk. You'd be surprised how those tales spice up an otherwise monotonous walk. Historians still argue whether the roads of old facilitated growth or harbored danger. What is certain is their persistent tale of connection and peril, stitching together disparate regions into the tapestry of medieval life. From merchants and minstrels to errant knights and pious pilgrims, paths set the rhythm of lives and economies, sustaining both solitude and convergence. You might not possess iron gauntlets or a golden chalice, but your mere presence on these paths places you within a vast network of energy and movement. As you trudge along, be mindful of the signposts. Stone markers and wooden stakes sporadically act as your medieval GPS, guiding you toward towns promising rest and perhaps even a chunk of good old-fashioned cheese. Medieval travelers didn't completely lack navigational aids. Sometimes the landmarks were straightforward, like a solitary oak or haphazardly stacked stone piles that whispered, "Keep going, you're almost there." In a world without Google Maps, these tactile markers were precious. You stop momentarily beside a brook, its gentle gurgle, a brief respite from your thoughts. You fill your water skin, blessed by the cool embrace of lifeblood. With every step, the experience etched into the muscle echoes, singularities of sounds and silences, a personalized melody woven with the air, land, and heart. You tighten your grip lightly on your simple wooden staff, no gleaming Excalibur required here to help you through the more rugged terrains. While walking exposes you to the elements, it also ties you prophetically to the earth. You own the path, and, strangely, the path owns a piece of you. Nature becomes your faint companion. Each encounter with wildlife a testament to vitality's quiet omnipresence, even if that means feeling slightly sheepish under the curious gaze of a passing herd. There is something profoundly grounding in feeling the earth beneath your soles without the barrier of wheels or stirrups. Of course, walking has its inconveniences. Rest is frequent, but fleeting. Shelters are sparse, and often already occupied by, let's say, friendly rodents. Yet, it's all about perspective. Those quaint stories of chatting with a random troubadour in the middle of nowhere always start with somebody walking. The endless horizons conjure reveries both intimidating and delightful, where every ridge and valley might hide tales of dragons or bandits, depending on what you're in for. Fear not, since your travel might just inspire the next round of alehouse yarns, or even a mention in those famous medieval ballads. Once you master the art of survival on 2 feet, the world is your oyster, albeit a very muddy one. As you continue forward, consider each step not merely the distance covered, but an investment in becoming the hero of your own humble saga, 1 footfall at a time. Having tested your endurance on foot, it's time to trade blistered soles for leather stirrups. Imagine yourself astride a sturdy steed, a valiant companion in the grand tradition of medieval horseback travel. Smooth, muscled haunches beneath you and the warmed leather saddle provide a far softer ride than the earthbound slog. With reins in hand, a brisk trot quickly outpaces any pedestrian's plodding gait, granting you a heightened vantage point over the rolling countryside. The rhythmic clip-clop of hooves against packed earth is your new metronome, setting a pace that compresses miles into achievable conquests. The equine world is one of diversity and hierarchy, much like the human settlements these majestic beasts connect. Your mount could be a noble destrier, robust and loyal, bred for the majesty of tournaments and the charge of knights, or, perhaps, a humble packhorse known for endurance more than elegance. Hearty ponies could also do the job, charming for their size and simplicity, yet deceptively efficient. Whichever companion you choose, horses were intrinsic to life and commerce, both revered and relied upon. The art of horse handling in the medieval era somewhat like understanding the quirks of a temperamental car required skill and rapport. Farriers and saddlers were crucial in maintaining hooves and tack. Each gallop and stride bridges more than mere meters. It forges a bond between rider and steed, an unspoken language built on trust and intuition. And let's not forget those glamorous medieval fashion ensembles, complete with jingling spurs and flowing capes that add a noble flair. Who doesn't secretly wish for a soundtrack and billowing dust clouds to accompany their dramatic, Instagram-worthy departures? Historians are less unanimous on whether knights' reliance on horses was purely martial, or if these partners symbolized status and connection to chivalric ideals. But one thing remains clear. From jousting lists to battlefields, the horse was a multifaceted emblem of loyalty, power, and prestige. The most delicate of feudal alliances could hinge upon the gift or breeding of a fine charger, marking equestrian prowess as an enviable asset. However, even the everyday journey of a merchant or pilgrim could be vastly improved by the companionship of a trusty mare. Interestingly enough, the humble donkey or mule also had a place in this equine hierarchy. They might lack the glamour of their larger kin, yet excel in forbearance and stamina. Known for their resilience, mules often bore the burdens of those without means for war horses or palfreys, laboring under loads that belied their unassuming stature. For those traveling through uneven terrain or narrow passes, their pragmatic utility was beyond reproach. Though good luck convincing them with charm alone, they preferred negotiations in carrots, not compliments. Horseback travel granted speed but also autonomy, inviting travelers to forge new connections and stories along the way. Dawns cast in amber-stretched roadways beneath the thud of hoofbeats. Villages turned to dots on a horizon, infusing every destination with anticipation. Imagine encountering an inn at nightfall after miles of open air, your horse snorting gently in gratitude for a stable's straw. Inside, as chicken stew simmers, the communal air thick with tales, the camaraderie between rider and beast fades behind cauldrons of fellowship and shared humanity. Did I mention medieval taxes? Ah yes, just when you thought riding off into the sunset was free, toll-keepers stood resolute at bridges and crossroads, literally leaving no stone unturned in their quest for tariff collection. A mounted traveller could expect coins gleaming under watchful eyes, a small but recurring reminder that your horse's swifter tread did not entirely mitigate the cling of worldly obligations. As we journey deeper, scholars pose questions about the variance between detailed chronicler accounts versus the lived experiences of average riders. Were riders of myth and legend polished emblems, or realistic conglomerates of fear and aspiration? A snippet of hay tucked behind one's ear, juxtaposed with creaky leather armor, sparks enough whimsy for both academic debate and sleepy reverie. Despite occasional tariffs and minor discomforts such as saddle sores, though slightly less tweet-worthy than 21st century travel woshorses remained Royal Hall's spoils and common road stalwarts, available for plodding patchwork treks or adrenaline-infused odysseys. So lean into those subtle shifts of motion, feel the textured mane ripple beneath your fingertips, and savor that distinctive leather barn scent, redolent of vitality. Channel your inner knight or itinerant bard. The steed you've grown so fond of has woven its legacy, experience, and being into yours, galloping into the annals of legend, alongside your enduring voyage from dawn to dusk. With your steed stabled for a well-deserved rest, it's time to embrace the gentle, languid sway of river travel, threading through medieval landscapes along the winding, watery highways. Picture yourself stepping aboard a modest wooden vessel at dawn's first blush, an ethereal mist casting a dreamy veil over the mirrored surface. The world hums quietly around you as ripples part in soft whispers against the hull. The air carries a dewy freshness, mingled with the faint, briny scent of distant salt seas, ushering calm and anticipation with every stroke of the oar. Rivers in medieval times were lifeline arteries pulsing with commerce, communication, and culture. For travelers, they offered the chance to glide past the dense, tangled thickets and treacherous trails on land. Rivers provided a respite from the dusty drone of country lanes and the mercurial moods of horseback. You may share this journey with merchants seeking new wealth, pilgrims bound for sacred destinations, and the occasional troubadour ready to trade the open road for gentle ripples and still horizons. Navigating waterways was both an art and a necessity. Pilots and oarsmen were revered for their knowledge of currents, tides, and hidden hazards lurking just beneath placid surfaces. You may not need today's real-time traffic updates, but atmospheric, unfurling sails, and nothing more than instinct and an uncanny understanding of wind patterns would carry you onward. Meanwhile, fish often dart beneath your craft, curious as cats, teasing you into daydreams. After all, a quick snack could be caught with nothing more than a sigh and a line. These riverine routes bestowed upon travellers a landscape tableau ever unfolding with the gentle glide of the current. From lush vineyards, blanketing slopes, and quaint villages clustered like sun-dappled mushrooms on the shores, to the occasional looming stronghold, river travel painted an ever-changing portrait, a ceaseless kaleidoscope of human and natural artistry. Each bend hints at mystery that, not surprisingly, once rounded reveals another facet of the countryside's everlasting smile. Occasionally, you might even spot a heron performing a graceful ballet for its finned audience below, adding a touch of nature's choreography to your serene passage. A quirky highlight along these watery paths were the floating tolls. Much like their land-based counterparts, strategically stationed boats demanded a share of your purse to pass. Historians still argue whether these tolls were mere opportunism, or a testament to the vigilance needed in maintaining riverine routes. Alas, a coin or two would usually suffice, a modest investment in aquatic highways free from the trundling of stone-riddled tracks. The camaraderie aboard is perhaps richer than on land, owing to proximity and shared purpose. You gather around the deck for communal meals, maybe some thick slices of rye bread, smoked fish cured to perfection, washed down with a hearty ale. Before long, tales from the land give way to stories born from the very rivers you sail. Whispered legends of siren songs coercing men into the depths, or glittering treasures hoarded by water sprites lurking beneath your keel. Such stories, woven with fancy and superstition, offer kindly distraction, a form of entertainment as you drift lazily forward. It's worth noting that river travel didn't merely unfold on the water's surface. Medieval settlements sprung up along banks, their prosperity linked to river access. Trading hubs flourished where rivers widened into ports, and docking at one meant immersing quickly in a bustling, multilingual marketplacean assortment of spices and fabrics, cattle and pottery. Whether early morning or moonlit eve, these vibrant centers never quite slept. Instead, they pulsed with the energy of goods changing hands and tongues exchanging secrets. A crooning lullaby of gently waving reeds finally draws your focus as you lean against the boat's parapet, head cushioned by a makeshift softening of pack and dream of those river gods so benevolent. Who among us, swathing castles like wading sentinels, crafting silty playgrounds for children, granting fishermen their fortuitous blessings? Your reflection smiles back in the slow-moving mirror. It's a vision of satiation amid simple pleasures and sheer tranquility, a symbiotic nod to the quiet audacity of simply drifting. Yet, as with any medieval journey, river travel demands its own vigilance. Swirling eddies conceal whirlpools, and spring floods test the mettle of both craft and crew. Jousting with currents requires strength and subtlety, another testament to ingenuity. But once land appears on the horizon after a day's cozy gliding, it feels seamless and organic. Such is life aboard these driftwood vessels, bequeathing memories as fluid and ethereal as the whispering waters themselves. In this gentle detour, your perspective shifts. You've embraced the world from a liquid vantage, feeling less like the river traveller and more like the river's kindred spirit. And as the shore nears its details sharpening and growing richer, you recall each debarkation is simply another prelude, an invitation to blend discovery, surrender, and the eternal pull of tides. As the ripples of river travel recede into memory, your journey now takes you back onto solid ground, where the cumbersome yet vital world of wagons and carts awaits. The creaking symphony of wooden wheels against cobblestones and dirt paths accompanies your thoughts. Picture yourself perched on the driver's bench, grasping leather reins with a sure hand, the subtle scent of hay mingling with the earthy note of fertile fields. The sun casts a vivid patchwork across the landscape, a tapestry of life illuminated by the promise of slow, steady progress. Wagons in the medieval era were the beasts of burden, crucial for transporting goods, people, and the occasional menagerie of livestock from one settlement to another. Unlike the sweeping grace of river travel or the swiftness of horseback, wagons offer a more deliberate cadence. They reveal the land at a gradual pace, inviting you to savor each detail with purpose. Your eyes take in the shifting landscape, evident pastures turn to rolling hills, then dissolve into groves of ancient oaks. Travel by cart brings a communal vibe, medieval equivalent of a road trip, if you will. The driver might share stories of distant lands, each punctuated with a hearty laugh or a knowing nod. Beside you, fellow travelers share the ride, their laughter and chatter mixed with the occasional squeal of a stubborn wheel or a mule's amused bray. The open-air setting is intoxicating, each inhaled breath a heady mixture of freshly cut hay and the rich aromas of ripening crops. Historians detail the varied styles and purposes of these wheeled conveyances, from the heavy-duty wagons of merchants laden with trade goods to the modest peasant carts. Each shares a singular determination to keep the wheels turning, no matter the conditions. With axles greased and horses harnessed, you set forth, feeling the subtle jostle of wagon springs in their wooden embrace. Yet, while carts and wagons offer cargo capacity and shelter from inclement weather, they are not without impediments. Rutted tracks and unyielding stones jar the wooden frames, offering unexpected bumps and isn't that funny now kind of spills. The journey can be slow, often marked by an obliging stop to offer thirsty steeds a drink from babbling brook sand, perhaps a chance conversation with another dewy-eyed traveller heading in the opposite direction. Such is the nature of communal travel, dotted with the passing of villages where locals pause to watch the caravan of carts clatter by. You're momentarily tempted to join them, tucked under thatched roofs, waving from garden fences, yet the wagons draw you forward. They carry more than goods. They carry a microcosm of human experience, encapsulating hopes, fears, and aspirations within every creak and groan. A quirky inclusion in many of these carts might surprise you goats. Yes, goats, ever resourceful. Medieval travellers often brought along these browsing companions for fresh milk during long journeys. Their bleats a comic encouragement, if not a slightly whimsical alarm clock at sunrise. Through the rolling inhabitation, these multi-hooved fellow travellers served as both sustenance and entertainment for children, who giggled delightedly at their antics. Toll roads are often encountered, extracting their pound of silver, or perhaps copper here. As you rummage for coin, you can't help but wonder how toll collectors fared as conversationalists. An entire day repeating rote questions certainly stirs the mind to ponder life's many peculiarities, wouldn't you say? With a friendly nod, your caravan proceeds, clipping along to the cadence of turning days and oxen treading the earth. Navigating the rhythms of wagon travel demands patience and fortitude. It's a poignant reminder that each jolt and jostle brings you closer to your destination. Scholars marvel at the advent of rudimentary suspension systems and innovation born of mile upon mile of feedback from these oft-traveled trails. Though rudimentary by today's standards, this medieval ingenuity marks a significant achievement in road innovation. As the sun dips toward the horizon, the traveler's shadows extend like tendrils stretching to touch the ends of the earth. Your journey lumbers toward its conclusion, but not before memories are etched indelibly by twilight's glow. Wagons and carts may not offer a swift journey, but they deliver an unrivaled opportunity to let the essence of the land seep into your bones, a physical and temporal bridge between beginnings and endings. As you disembark, the wheel's echo lingers like an old lullaby, fading gently into the embrace of evening's hush. You've glimpsed the land's intimate portrait, and felt the pulse of shared adventure through every notch and whirl of the wood beneath you. These wagons, with their lumbering presence and steadfast reassurance, whisper the promise that despite calamity, they will bear their burdens steadily in the hearts of those who journey with them and the villages they bind together. As your feet find sure footing once again, the call of the ocean beckons. You find yourself at the bustling docks, where the salty breeze kisses your cheeks and the tang of brine invigorates your senses. Picture the sunbathed chaos of a medieval port, the air alive with the shouts of sailors and the clatter of goods being loaded and unloaded. Ships creak gently as they bob upon the waves like eager steeds, just waiting to whisk you away on a sea adventure. You stand amidst barrels of cargo, the scent of exotic spices mingling with fishy undertones, ready for the sea's mercurial embrace. In the medieval world, the sea was both a gateway and a gauntlet. Those embarking upon its vastness were met with equal measures of opportunity and peril. Ships were the lifeblood of trade, exploration, and in many legends, the harbingers of conquest. Maritime travel, while fearsome to some, presented untold possibilities to other swift passage, to distant lands, and the promise of discovery beyond familiar horizons. With each crested wave, the mystery of the unknown beckoned ever more enticingly. Boarding a vessel, you notice the ship's deck is a textured patchwork underfoot, a mosaic of salt-bleached wood and sturdy hemp ropes. Here, the crew bustle sailors skilled with the wind's caprice and the sea's fickle temperament. You might find yourself nestled among barrels containing yolks and ales, destined for market stalls across far-flung coasts, or side by side with a parrot-eyed adventurer, regaling all with tales of daring feats and undiscovered lands somewhere beyond the horizon. Types of ships were as varied as the stories the sea carried. The round, robust hulks, known as cogs, ferried goods across the North and Baltic seas, braving stormy waters with stoic resolve. Meanwhile, sleeker vessels like the caravel allowed adventurers to push boundaries in search of uncharted waters, propelled faster by their innovative lateen sails. To those wary of maritime hijinks, keep an eye out for pirates hoisting Merry Jolly Roger's knot, quite the flamboyant swashbucklers of modern tales, yet no less formidable. Sailing's appeal was not without abuse. Many seaports were rife with piracy and suspicion. Historians debate the motivations of those accused of sea robbery. Were they mere criminals, or opportunistic products of a harsh economic climate? Each hauled canvas tells of heavy tales, be they song, plunder, or merchant calculation, and journeys are often framed by curious glimmers of lanterns bouncing upon waves. As the ship departs the harbour, your senses awaken to the shifting symphony of the sea chorus of gulls cawing above, the slap of waves against the hull, and the rigging's whispering song. The sea appears both restless and serene. Beneath your vessel's keel, a universe of life pulses in depths, blue and unfathomable. As you venture further, the coastline dwindles to a distant memory, replaced by the endless horizontal blank canvas for explorers at heart. The ship's construction becomes a detail more familiar than mythical. Oars extend like measured tendrils, wielded by rowers chanting in unison as they push vigorously under the commander's barked cadence. When conditions favor, Sails billow with a familiar crack, grasping the wind's potency in a collaborative dance that melds nature's forces with human ingenuity. It's a partnership that's endured for centuries, one whose elegance belies its practical utility. Every sailor's narrative is punctuated by rituals and beliefs, as numerous as the barnacles clinging to the ship's hulls. It's tradition, for example, to share a hearty meal of hardtack and salt beef, a fitting fare to gather everyone around the lore of mermaids singing sweet doom to unwary Salorsis, that a faint melody of enchantment you hear, or merely the creak of this storied vessel. The transformative power of maritime travel, despite its challenges, lies in the fellowship of the open water. Night falls like velvet over a perpetual harbour, casting you beneath the celestial domine endless river of stars to guide your nocturnal course. Perhaps a shared flask is passed quietly among compatriots. Within each heartbeat under the moon's benevolence, you become a mariner, not merely a passenger. Ships were more than tools. They bore humanity on wings of wood and canvas, shaping destinies and realms. The voyage continues, stitching together the beads of bubbling foam and endless CA story, primed to etch itself into grander epochs as the vessel charts its purpose to the port of tomorrow. From castle docks to distant shores, this incredible seascape becomes an integral part of your saga, melding both navigation and reverie. As dawn breaks over the horizon, painting the world anew, the silhouette of land emerges like a patient sentinel awaiting your return. You may debark with newfound stories, more deeply attuned to nature's moodier elements, and yet in the hearts of those who traverse these seas, a strange truth remains. Clear it is upon these restless waters that longing and fulfillment merge, propelling you ever onward into the enduring embrace of the seafaring legacy. Let's pivot from singular ventures to the collective rhythm of medieval merchant caravanser, veritable tapestry of humanity, journeying across the lands, stitched together by the threads of trade and survival. Picture yourself amid a lively ensemble of traders, animals, and goods moving with deliberate purpose across realms. There's a particular thrill to the caravan's departure, dawn breaking over an encampment, stirring to sounds of muted conversation, clinking harnesses, and the occasional bleat of an impatient camel or mule. Caravans in the medieval era were essential engines of commerce, threading across continents, weaving disparate locales into a patchwork of trade routes that fostered exchange not only of goods, but of ideas, cultures, and technology. Silk, spices, jewelry, and textiles of various regions traveled alongside merchants who navigated well-worn paths, relying on a blend of instinct, rudimentary maps, and often the guidance of experienced local escorts. These caravans could stretch for miles, teeming with treasures swaddled in rough burlap and secured in wooden cratisa, veritable mobile marketplace. A typical caravan march starts long before the first sliver of dawn. You can almost feel the dew-laden grass beneath your feet as you grip your shawl tighter against the brisk morning chill. Around you, the air is alive with activity. Traders securing their wares, animals being loaded, and the ring of metal as guards ready their arms, because in this line of work, the spectre of banditry looms ever tall. The caravan, a curious, often unwieldy parade of human and animal spirit, casts a distinctive silhouette against the landscape wagons creaking, traders chatting in a polyglot buzz, while camels pad forward with the self-possessed grace of self-appointed royalty. The scent is an intoxicating mix of animals, aromatic spices wafting from the heart of brightly coloured bazaar tents, and the occasional hint of smoke curling from a warming fire. If you close your eyes, you can almost imagine yourself inhaling the same fragrances that graced the courts of kings half a world away. The procession might pause at an oasis or village, the innovation of travel replaced by vibrant bartering and banter. Here, meetings occur not only between traders and locals, but between diverse cultures. Persian silks converse with Chinese porcelains, and the culinary secrets of one land meet the gastronomical delights of another. You share more than just goods. Stories and traditions intertwine, creating an ephemeral community born by trade winds and mutual enterprise. Indeed, historians still debate whether the vibrancy of these exchange routes lay solely in commodities or resided equally in less tangible exchanges. Did these encounters spark the Renaissance's flames or plant the seeds of distant revolutions? The ripples of every trade transaction, carried on the backs of these caravans, expanded far beyond mundane negotiations. One intriguing tidbit about these journeys was the music that so often accompanied them. To keep spirits high and maintain cadence, musicians might lead or join the caravan, a travel-specific soundtrack crafted by flutes, drums, and even the lark's playful song. This sonic tapestry, threaded through days' labor with jubilant memoria, refrained to lift the dust, infuse rhythm, and render fatigue an afterthought. While towns and settlements offered waypoints, the real intrigue often lay in the untamed vistas stretched between them. Nature was both ally and adversary, gifting gentle breezes one minute and unleashing sandstorms the next. The caravan guards remained vigilant, eyes perpetually scanning the horizon for signs of trouble beyond meteorological woes. Despite precautions, an unexpected encounter with marauders or wild animals would require a swift response-tense reminder of the caravan's vulnerability in the chaos of wilderness. Rest often took place beneath the tapestry of stars, their celestial alignment observed alongside campfires crackling with warmth and companionship. In that tranquil silence, philosophy and tales of daring mingled, the pooling thoughts of an itinerant community, echoing gently into the starry ether, like gifts to constellations. The encampment becomes a microcosm, where hierarchies soften, camaraderie blooms, and the humility of shared fate stitches different fates into a temporary yet indelible tapestry. Every stretch of the caravan's trail brought change, a subtle metamorphosis in landscapes, languages, and even in the travelers themselves. By nightfall, you look up to find the familiar stars seemingly closer, like silent witnesses to your day's journey, cradling whispered secrets to carry forward. Therein lies the magic of the caravana, moving world within the vast world, sharing laughs amid the clangor of trade, understanding forged in fleeting glances across communal fires, a shared resilience against the world's unpredictable temperament. Each step of the journey mingles wonder with weariness, a collective pilgrimage not solely for wealth, but for the ties that bind humanity across time and space, one market mile at a time. As the dust of the caravan trail settles behind you, your heart is drawn to a different sort of journey, a pilgrimage. In medieval times, pilgrimage paths wound through countryside and city alike, trail by faith and fate. Picture your feet striking cobblestones worn smooth by countless before you, a whispered echo of devotion reflecting years of human longing. The air is infused with a sense of purpose, the quiet rustle of robes and clinking of walking staffs creating a gentle symphony of spiritual pursuit. Pilgrimages were not solely religious escapades. They were intrinsic to medieval life, a confluence of faith, penance, and exploration. Pilgrims embarked on journeys to reach sacred shrines, seeking solace, cures, or divine intercession. Some traveled for months or years, their sandals tracing patterns across landscapes burdened with as much symbolism as soil. Setting out on this spiritual trek, your pilgrimage garb, a simple tunic, and a stout cloak mirrors your resolution. With a staff as both walking aid and symbol of progress, each step feels imbued with significance. Unlike leisurely travel, this path invites a reflection of the soul, a connection with the sacred punctuated by the rhythm of your pace. While locals may question your destination or purpose, the sight of a seashell adorning pilgrims' Hatsan emblem of the Camino de Santiago serves as a silent explanation, opening doors through whispers of shared undertaking. Pilgrims relied largely on the charity of those they encountered, a societal support network providing sustenance and shelter, tempered with humble gratitude. Your fellow travelers are as diverse as the paths you tread. Historians describe the ranks of pilgrims as a medley of peasants, merchants, and nobles, drawn together in the pursuit of the divine or self-redemption. Together, you share the blisters and blessings, an unspoken unity binding you to a fellowship of the faithful that transcends traditional divides. As you wander the pilgrimage path, colorful tapestries of legend enfold you. Each village along the road tells tales of local saints and ancient miracles, their stories woven into the very fabric of the landscape. These narratives bubble like pure springs, blending myth and truth into an elixir for weary souls. Who's to say whether the statue of a saint really did once shed tears, or if it was merely the morning mist performing its own ethereal dance? At major crossroads and shrines, you might encounter bustling pilgrim fairs, an exuberant interlude along the spiritual artery. These gatherings offer not only physical replenishment, but also a chance to exchange tales and tokens. Merchants vie for your attention, selling everything from simple trinkets to revered relics, sometimes questionable in authenticity, while minstrels strum melodies that seep into the rhythm of your journey. Historians continue to debate the commercial aspect of these pilgrimages. Did they ignite the flame of early tourism, or merely fulfill ecclesiastical edicts? Whatever the reasoning, they undoubtedly fueled personal transformation, imparting tales to recount for generations. One cannot help but imagine family members back home eagerly anticipating those stories, waiting to hear of the incredible old churches and the rumored bread miracle of Saint Whoever. The pilgrimage's path itself serves as both boundary and guide, marking the span between the worldly and the sacred. It leads you through rugged fields and misty glens, over formidable mountain ranges and across expansive lowlands. Each vista, whether blanketed in blossoms or dappled in fallen leaves, highlights the intricate artistry of earth and heaven, an introspective canvas against which mortal longings play out. Amidst these sublime settings, an inherent danger lurks in the figures of bandits or malevolent spirits, but just as perilous can be the elements, sudden downpours, or treacherous terrain that demand an adventurer's caution. Yet, your determination is unyielding. Even when worn thin by relentless road, you find strength and fellowship in the shared burdens of the path. The climax of a pilgrimage arrives in breathtaking solemnity at the sacred site, where fatigue gives way to grace. Here, among votive candles, flickering shadows, and stained glass reflections like jewel-toned aspirations, the culmination of your journey resounds. The pilgrim's heart swells with the bittersweet knowledge that every step was laden with hope, prayer, and the inescapable human yearning for connection with the divine. With resolution in your stride as you turn from the altar, a profound sense of renewal unfurls within, carrying the lessons of your journey into the world anew. This intricate weave of faith, wonder, and wanderlust becomes more than a memory. It etches itself into your essence, a silent vow that regardless of where your path may lead, each step bears the weight of shared humanity, resonating in devotion's eternal echo. Your pilgrimage complete, a new spectacle unfurls before you, the magnificence of a royal procession. Picture the sun streaming through the clouds, casting a golden glow over an array of colors fit for royalty. The sound of trumpets pierces the air, and banners emblazoned with regal insignias flutter in the breeze. The scent of trampled herbs and flowers rises to greet you, mingling with the heady perfume of the noble entourage. You're about to witness the medieval version of a grand parade, where pomp and pageantry weave through the streets in a dazzling display of power and elegance. Royal processions in medieval times were much more than mere spectacle. They were strategic performances designed to project sovereignty and strength. Kings and queens traversed their realms, making their presence felt and reinforcing fealty among their subjects. You find yourself amidst a vast forum where villagers gather eagerly, eyes wide with awe, as the procession snakes through town, spilling vibrant color across the cobblestones. This procession glides with a meticulous choreography, an elegant blend of ceremony and calculated impression, where every component from the flamboyant foot soldiers to the ornate carriages has been orchestrated in painstaking detail. The procession is brimming with richly accoutred courtiers, knights glittering in polished armor, and jesters whose capering brings delighted squeals from children lining the route. Their humor offers an irresistible levity, making you feel the infectious mirth tingling in the air, as formidable as the rhymer dared to tease seated royalty. The centerpiece, perhaps a golden chariot or a majestic litter borne high, glides past, carrying the regal dignitary draped in courtly finery. Crowns and diadems catch the sun's rays, glinting with enough brilliance to rival the dawn itself. Ideally, it might be someone like your classic gallant King Edward, one hand raised in a gentle salutation, or a ferociously grand Queen Eleanor, her gaze as steady as the coursers prancing in her wake. You make mental note, however, that not every appearance is as picture-perfect. Cross-country travel has its challenges, and even royalty is not immune to an occasional bedraggled plume or undetectable stain. As you watch, the scent of freshly baked bread wafts from nearby stalls, Merchants in their strategic wisdom capitalize on the gathered crowds, selling pies and ale along the route, creating a festival atmosphere where sight, sound and smell intermingle. You may even slip a stray coin or two into a vendor's hands as you observe. At the same time, there's a blend of theatrics and diplomacy behind the cheerful veneer. This royal fiat is also a messenger, tangible reminder of order and hierarchy, conveyed both directly to subjects and indirectly to rival factions. A quirky detail worthy of your notice might be the presence of exotic animals, a spectacle within a spectacle. Picture a camel or an elephant swaying amidst the ranks, brought from distant lands and trained to parade alongside the human courtiers. These magnificent creatures, symbols of power and mystery, capture the imagination, an awe-inspiring glimpse of faraway realms brought to life amidst medieval towns. Who needs cable television when you've got a giraffe strutting past your window? Historians still argue about the extent to which these processions influenced popular sentiment. Were they disarmingly opulent, or more akin to veiled propaganda? Whatever the motive, for such grandeur encountered up close, the effect is palpable. Each ripple of a rich velvet standard carries whispers of grandeur and ambition, binding stories into the ethos of every town they pass through. Yet preparation for such events extended well beyond the surface finery. Even the most intricately spun silks can fray under the cumulative pressures of road, weather, and necessity. Thousands were involved in logistics, from designers of resplendent tents to the keepers of travel accounts and purveyors of unexpected repairs. Now you see the backbone making this grandeur possible. Perhaps it's even like seeing kitchen magic behind your favorite restaurant's gleaming smiles. The procession inevitably swells to its grand finale more than a dance of policy and politics. It crystallizes as an ephemeral tapestry woven by leagues, leave acts, and loyal subjects' cheers, mingling with banners flapping like wings. The grandeur lingers as they roll into the distance, becoming an indelible thread in the fabric of those lives briefly touched. As dusk creeps in and the crowds disperse, you reflect on the interplay of visual splendor and subtle strategy. Royalty knew that power was not only wielded but shown through pomp and celebration, a timeless dance of governance clad in gold and garnet. In this moment, you realize the procession is more than an event, it's an echo through time, an enduring testament to medieval regality and the spectacle of human connection. As the echoes of the royal procession diminish into fond memory, your journey leads you to the welcoming doors of a medieval inn, a haven of rest and reprieve. Imagine stepping inside, the heavy wooden door creaking softly as it swings shut behind you. The warm glow of a hearth greets you, the fire's light flickering across stone walls and wooden beams, casting shadows that dance like old ghosts resolved to entertain. The smell of roasting meat mingles with the tang of ale, and the fragrant herbs that hang from the rafters to dry the aroma, an olfactory embrace after the day's trials. In medieval times, inns were far more than mere lodging. They were microcosms of the world at large, bustling hubs where travellers swapped tales, and townsfolk found solace from the daily grind. Each inn had its unique character, some leaning towards robust revelry, while others offered quiet contemplation. Nestled within the inn's walls lies a tapestry of human experience, one that loops together stories wild and wondrous, held together by the simple promise of shelter and sustenance. The innkeeper, a jolly or sometimes stern figure, depending on the day's temperament, greets you with a nod or perhaps a hearty slap on the back. The hearth crackles with promises of warmth, and the floor is a patchwork of worn stone, bearing witness to generations of footfalls. Your boots echo the music of countless travellers as you cross the threshold of shared stories and whispered secrets. The communal nature of inn life invites camaraderie. The long wooden tables stretch out like an invitation to join in the cheer. A well-known minstrel's corner rings with the gentle strum of a lute, and perhaps the occasional shriek of an ill-tuned violin adds to the symphony. The conversations rise and fall around you, a melodic blend of foreign tongues and familiar accents, anecdotes spun from threads of humour and hint of hyperbole. The traveller's knack for embellishment has everyone engrossed in sagas of extraordinary beasts and heroes of exaggerated exploits, stimulating a collective yearning to venture just a bit further afield. The bustling activity isn't devoid of commerce, on the other hand. It fuels it. Innkeepers often play the role of merchants, offering local specialties or exotic trinkets gleaned from other travelers for a price. Ever resourceful, they turn a steady profit from offering hay for horses, ale for jaded souls, and the occasional cloak mending service that saves faces better than it removes stains. Anyone in need of a guide, a partner in trade, or simply a friendly face finds no shortage of options amidst the lively clientele. Historians characterize these inns as essential for social interaction, acknowledging their role in the circulation of news and ideas. They argue about their degree of influence, but it's undeniable that the inn's atmosphere brewed currents of culture and innovation, their patrons weaving a fragrant tapestry of connections that stretched far beyond each wooden beam. Occasionally, you might overhear a tale that extends beyond gallant knights and spirited wanderers, a tale of grievances, debates, or even romantic entanglements. Who senses the strains of local dissent, or the clashing of political aspirations over the clink of tankards against wood? Within the confines of its walls, an inn can house as much intrigue as any noble court or royal retreat. For a quirkier side, keep an eye out for the bull-baiting pits sometimes found at larger taverns. Not everyone's cup of ale, yet these merry distractions often draw crowds from miles around, their spirited cheers intertwined with the barks and growls of the woefully unaware participants. Depending on your taste, it's either an enthusiastic spectacle or good reason to appreciate the comforts of firelit company indoors. Your evening ends as you retire to a modest but cozy room upstairs. The simplicity, a reminder of life's essentials: a bed, a blanket, and the whisper of a draught through the narrow window. It's not about luxury, it's about security, the knowledge that outside these walls, the world awaits anew with stories yet to be told. With your mind eased by the warmth and companionship of newfound friends, sleep comes refreshingly easy. Tomorrow's journey may lead you to distant shores or familiar paths, but for now, you rest within the inn's embrace, cocooned by the quaint remnants of bygone tales and a silence both profound and comforting in its brevity. Through the tangle of laughter and dreams, you recognize that resting places like these become part of a larger journey, resonance, an imprint that remains long after the road calls you back. In the center of simple joys and shared human warmth, they capture the enduring promise of safe havens and heartfelt connections. As the dawn breaks and you step out into the crisp morning air, the world of medieval travel turns its attention to the art of wayfinding, a nuanced skill in an era bereft of modern maps or GPS guidance. Imagine the first rays of sunlight marking your path with a brushstroke of warmth, dew painting the earth at your feet, and the vast expanse of the sky slowly revealing its secrets to those who know where to look. Navigating the medieval landscape required a clever blend of innate intuition, keen observation, and time-honored lore. Travelers had to become one with the environment around them, relying on natural landmarks, the heavens, and the wisdom passed down through generations to find their way. As you set out on your journey, you become an artist in an open-air gallery, where every detail in the landscape, however subtle, tells a part of the story of the world. Think of your path as a tapestry, woven with the threads of hills, streams, and trees. Each natural marker serves as a guide and a companion, from the ancient, gnarled oak trees which stand like vigilant sentinels, to the vibrant wildflowers that track the seasons with fidelity. Remember those stones piled together, artifacts of human intention guiding you toward the next village or away from well-trodden routes favored by bandits and other misadventures. Without today's standardized grids or digital convenience, travelers relied on knowledge gleaned from the sun and stars. During the day, the sun charted its course across the sky, casting shadows that stretched and shortened in a predictable dance of light and orientation. You could talk to the savvy wanderer who used a simple sundial or a compass crafted from lodestone, but even without those tools, the sun and sky forged a relationship with each sojourner. At night, the sky became a sprawling map, constellations mapping the fabric of the universe. Steady Polaris, the North Star, provided a constant guide, an eternal anchor for navigators across Europe. Legend and mythology adorned these celestial guides, their tales enriching the practical knowledge that sailors and land travelers alike clung to, blending astronomical precision with storytelling immortality. Historians continue their debate about the precise role of navigation in the expansion of medieval territories. Did this rudimentary wayfinding enable empires to unfurl their borders, or was it more an exercise in communal and cultural bridge building? What is certain is the secure connection between exploration and the mental maps developed by those who dared push the boundaries of the known land. Quirky tidbits of folklore crept into travelers' lore, like using moss, that natural compass growing more thickly on the north side of trees in the northern hemisphere. You learn that not only is moss an indicator of direction, but that it's great for finding clandestine storehouses of gnomesaur, so the tales go. There are whispers of fairy rings and hidden paths that open only to those with the right knowledge, the right spirit of adventure. The deficiencies in medieval mapping also cultivated an intriguing dependence on local knowledge. Townsfolk, innkeepers, or shepherds became invaluable sources of wisdom, offering directions in the form of sagas and landmarks. This forged a rich tapestry of interaction as travelers paused to listen, with intent to contrast to today's brisk, impersonal data fetches. Knowledge traded hands like currency, imbuing the journey itself with community and connection. Surprising turns were part and parcel of travel during this period, whether winding literally or metaphorically. Streams might swell and redirect paths. Storms recast landmarks into rudimentary puzzles demanding deciphering. The anticipation of uncertainty, not as a problem to solve, but an opportunity to explore, became central to the traveler's mindset, woven deep into their steps. As the day evolves, you move forward confidently across open landscapes, guiding your steps by the elements around you, and trusting in the rhythms of nature to lead you toward your destination. The medieval traveler's path is illuminated not just by the physical world, but by the human stories that traverse our communal narrative, stretching over the cartographic expanses of time and imagination. So, as you push on, enjoy the elegantly woven web of nature, lore, and communal storytelling that guides your pilgrimage, knowing every choice has been shaped by the age-old blend of relying on the body's senses and one's bond with the earth. For in these moments of observation, reflection, and connection with fellow travelers, you too partake in the timeless dance of wayfinding, leaving footprints that etch their own stories amidst the ancient paths of those who have journeyed before. As your journey through the medieval landscape progresses, the road frequently reveals companions not only in fellow travelers, but in those whose livelihoods are extracted from every step you take. The toll roads are a medieval inevitability, a curious blend of irritation and entertainment as you encounter toll collectors who ensure each traveler contributes a little to the upkeep of the road, sometimes to their own coffers. The sun casts long shadows as you approach the first toll station, a simple structure of wood and stone where collectors await, like well-fed Merlin hawks, for your arrival. Picture a wooden gate blocking passage, heavily fortified despite its humble appearance, its creak and groan a testament to its age and frequent use. The tollkeeper, perhaps a rotund figure with a genial smile or a wiry, sharp-eyed man with a calculating gaze, sizes you up with the seasoned eye of someone who has appraised 1,000 travelers before. While today, we grumble at freeway costs and last-minute charges, in medieval times, toll roads were a patchwork of necessity and profit, ensuring that riding the king's highways came with the price of a few coins. Coins of silver, copper, or barter-worthy goods were deftly exchanged for passagier negotiation, moderated by the weight of your purse or the options of trade goods in your pack. Historians argue the beneficiary of these tolls, whether it was truly to patch up roadways and maintain bridges, or if opportunistic lords fattened their treasuries from the traveller's toils. Regardless, the collections were carried out with due ceremony, a breathless pause in the journey's monotony as papers were checkered or fabricated on the spot and personal charms applied as liberally as formal permits. Despite their serious purpose, toll stations pulsated with the rhythm of the road. They were hubs of informal news exchange and a front-row seat to human nature's theatre. Here you find the intersection of stories from lands beyond, whispered secrets alongside boisterous tales from far and near. The station master often overheard more gossip than a courtier, lending their posts by the wayside the air of rumours distilled through tales of clerics, merchants, and craftsmen alike. While charm could lighten a tollmaster's hand, the rules were often enforced with stringency. Fail to pay, and you might face the less than pleasant prospect of detours through the sprawling shoals of marsh or paths better navigated by goats than humans. It turns out that attempting to circumvent official obligations might see you tripping into thorn-filled ditches or perchance sharing company with the banished knaves and outlaws lurking in fringes of the woods. Appealing? Only if your knack for survival leans toward the questionable. There's a certain quirky charm in the brimming curiosity of these keepers. Of the Gatone imagines them crafting stories from hurried travelers' snippets. Whether your attire is worn peasant cloth or gleaming knightly mail, the toll-keeper's practiced eye gleans these tales, formulating hypotheses about whence you came or whither you are destined. Perhaps they harbour dreams of crafts entirely unrelated, regaling loved ones at night's close with tall tales and improbable narratives born of whispered exchanges through the day. Each encounter leaves its mark in the annals of medieval journeying, a brief but vivid transaction painting itself onto time. As the gate swings open, you step through this parallel ritual and into the wind's caress, your lightened load mingling more with musing than metal, as if the calming weight of iron and copper now rests squarely on others' shoulders. The defiance of the road's cumbersome tolls can also lead to surprising camaraderie, with fellow travelers taking advantage of a brief pause to swap jokes or debate the eccentricities of the collector you've mutually encountered. This is a tapestry of personalities ever connected by the invisible bonds holding each leg of a discernible path together, a web that speaks of shared landscapes and shared burdens. No matter how mundane this stop may seem, each toll station lifts your journey just a touch toward adventure, enriching it with a soupçon of shared consciousness to fortify the miles ahead. Weathered wood creaks in farewell, and as you resume your wander, you carry forward not just the footprint of the toll's weight, but the vibrant tapestry of humanity, encountered woven across paths, woven into roads, and woven into the life of the land itself. As you continue your medieval journey, the natural world starts to dictate your path in more direct ways, as the subtle yet powerful influence of the seasons begins to unfold. Medieval travelers, keenly aware of nature's cycles, found that planning around the ever-changing tapestry of seasons was a matter of survival, wisdom, and acceptance. Each turn of the wheel brought its own challenges and gifts, a reminder that the whims of the natural world carried a weight that could not be ignored. Spring breathes new life into the landscape. Picture emerging from a winter's rest. The world is aglow with the delicate green of fresh leaves and the vibrant hues of blossoms that dot the countryside like confetti after a village fete. The air hums with anticipation and the distant echo of bells, merging with the collective joy of animals and humans alike reveling in the warmth. The melodies of chirping birds blend with the babbling brooks, all part of the symphony of nature's awakening. Paths once fraught with winter's icy bastions now teem with signs of vitality. Spring, however, also heralds the rain, those unpredictable showers that pockmark paths and blur horizons. One minute, the sun dances merrily between cloud shadows, and the next, you're caught in a downpour, droplets playing wild percussion on your cloak. Navigating such capricious terrain requires adaptability, like unfolding an oiled canvas or your belongings, or pausing under tree boughs just long enough for rain to spend its brief fury. Summer often serves as the darling of the travelling calendar. The days stretch luxuriously long, the sun a golden orb bestowing warmth on each verdant swathe of land beneath it. With temperatures inviting journeys, travellers can cover more ground and bask in nature's unfurled arms. The roads swell with life as markets overflow, and townspeople gather harvests of burgeoning fields. It's a time for pilgrimages reaching their zenith, festivals cascading with laughter, and fairs resounding with frolic and flamboyance. Yet, summer carries its own trials beneath the surface of sunlit gleefulness. The heat is unrelenting at midday, its intensity akin to the forge of an enthusiastic blacksmith, soaking travellers in sweat and leaving throats parched. A curious scarab beetle might use this chance to hitch a ride, to the bemusement or irritation of wayfarers. Those who failed to bargain with weather's demands found fainting or fires an unwelcome break in their itineraries. Autumn's arrival signals a retreat from heat's imposition, the season hinting at nature's cycle winding toward dormancy. Fiery hues dominate forests, every leaf painting with its sunset departure. The harvest becomes a bounty of colour, spilling joy and labour's reward across the landscapes. There's a comforting scent in crisp air, evoking mossy earth stirred beneath trodden feet. It's as if the world pauses between exhaling and inhaling, a sigh of balance, whispered through full granaries and community barns, knit together in the patchwork that sustained winter. Despite its bounty, autumn demands attention with shortening days and encroaching twilight. Travelers must navigate the narrowing window of light, mindful of growing shadows that lengthen early, and direct a wistful glance back toward home and safety long before yearning can be quenched by distance. Nights entertain wild winds, eager for fun at mortal expense, a reminder that warmth beyond flickering fire cannot always be relied upon. Winter, of course, transforms the landscape into a stark, ethereal world, cloaked in icy stillness and hushed reverence. The chill seeps into bones, demanding layers of wool and leather, every breath seen as wispy tendrils joining the frosty firmament. Snow lays its crystalline veil with impunity, cloaking beaten tracks under undistinguishable whiteness. This is when the hearth fire becomes a reliable companion, weaving soft glows amidst shared stories and bread's quiet accord. Winter travel imposes the harshest ordeal, a literal fight against the elements. Roads become treacherous, ruts filled with hidden ice, and rivers a gamble across fragile bridges nature scantly supports. Yet, bundled travelers still persevere, driven by need or faith, casting long, determined shadows under the fickle shade of the stormy sky. Historians often ponder how people tied to nature's rigors saw the calendar as both obstacle and opportunity. Did they view each day as conquest or part of a greater symphony, thrumming with life's beat? What remains undeniable is the deep-seated respect for natural cycles, acknowledging that regardless of desire, they were mariners on this seasonal sea. Through these changes, you learn that travel is as much a partnership with time as with distance, acceptance a wiser companion than defiance. As you march to winter's breath or summer's vibrant echoes, you walk alongside not only the people of your age, but the eternal spirit of those who've trodden these timeless paths, finding rhythm across fading hues and emerging flowers, charting existence along both familiar and unknown roads, guided by the rhythm of the seasons themselves. As you journey further through medieval landscapes, the capricious nature of weather quickly asserts itself as an ever-present companion, one that's never shy about making its presence known. The push and pull of weather, systems those unseen yet deeply felt forces shape the rhythm of travel, infusing each day with a touch of unpredictability and spontaneity. Let's delve into this element's grandeur, where the skies above mirror the moods and fortunes of the earthbound travelers below. The sun may rise with a golden smile, the air crisp and filled with the promise of an untroubled day. You begin your travels under a gentle blue sky, the horizon stretching wide, inviting your exploration with open arms. Such clear days have a way of quickening the heart's tempo, a backdrop against which dreams meander as freely as your footprints along the path. The warmth of the sun energizes your spirit, the air alive with the rich scent of wildflowers and earth gently yawned awake from the night's slumber. Yet, as you well know, nature relishes a plot twist. Clouds gather like gossiping crows at midday, their whispers threading a tension across the sky. The wind picks up, playful at first, sending leaves skittering along your path, harmless teas soon brooding into foreboding gusts, strong enough to tug at your cloak with insistence. As storms gather, the powerful roar of thunder punctuates the sky's command, each rumble rolling through your bones and setting the landscape vibrating from its imposition. Raindrops begin to fall tentative at first, mere pinpricks of moisture that blossom into an ardent downpour, transforming the path beneath you into a slick, reluctant serpent of mud and stone. The irony isn't lost on you, grumbling at the thought that all these years of human evolution hadn't yet found a solution for soggy socks. Rain or shine, you, the medieval traveler, must adjust your pace and plans according to these whims of weather. Roads that moments ago invited easy passage may now demand careful navigation. A field once mere distance crossed is transformed into a boggy ordeal, where each step holds perilla whimsical presentation nature holds as reality's volatile court. Historians still argue about the influence of localized weather phenomena on medieval migration and settlement patterns. Did people anciently chase climate's cover, asking comfort, rather than thrash its wrath head-on, or did they stand stalwart against blusterings merely as inconvenient brethren? Indeed, it is suggested that the clerical systems, those that recorded and forecast the signs of sky and soil, served as much in securing rational reassurance over such mercurial clouds, their prophecies keenly mirroring the human desire for catharsis over random discord. For those on the road, weather also acts as a compelling storyteller, shading the tone of encounters experienced along the way. A sudden storm might drive you toward the warmth of an inn, where fellow travelers huddle beneath thatched roofs, nursing foamy tankards and spun tales. The gentle popping of hearth logs converses with the rain's persistent drumming, a plea for another nay. Many more moments in the security of shared experience. Serenely, too, might fog roll in, transforming familiar landscapes into dreamlike canvases painted with muted hues. Navigating this spectral ambience demands new instinctive reliance on foot and ear, the world reduced to close comfort and whispered promises with each unseen length of road. Any encounter revealing itself through this mysterious veil is irrefutably etched in the annals of Memoria Village, appearing like Brigadoon, or a solitary deer standing poised and noble in the mist. The quirky medieval belief that certain trees could ward off lightning provides an interesting insight into how weather myths and folklore are woven into practical living. An old oak or beech might have doubled as a target for storm panics, showing you where wary faith in fortune measured against whence celestial naysayers might target their ire. An odd comfort when squinting through unexpected downpour. And so, your journey adjusts, thrives, and evolves in concert with weather's unpredictable dance, each ray of sun, each drop of rain, each chilling wind its own moment, in a complex symphony of travel. The sorrows of a stormy sky do serve to carve resilience, as much as light weaves hope, the two balancing life scales. As a traveler, you come to cherish this connection to the elements, a sensate embrace that enhances the scope of your narrative. While the sky may have its secrets and whims, your fortitude shines unyielding beneath its domain, a testament to human spirit's resolute promise to endure, and adapt, a promise scribbled indelibly into the pages of medieval chronicles, as testament to the kinship with the elements above. As the road stretches on, it leads you toward the vibrant crossroads where cultures meet and marry, set against the backdrop of a medieval trading city. Imagine yourself passing through the gates of a bustling metropolis, its air thick with an intoxicating blend of scent spices from the east, mingling with the earthy aroma of freshly baked bread. The clamour of multitudinous kaleidoscope of voices and accents fills your ears, weaving a rich auditory tapestry, punctuated by the laughter of children playing in the streets and the hawking cries of merchants eagerly plying their trade. These cities are hubs of convergence, where diverse cultures collide in colourful symphony. The sheer variety astounds the senses. Along these stone-paved streets, merchants from distant lands lay out bolts of silk shimmering like liquid moonlight, while neighbouring stalls display vivid dyes, fragrant teas, and pots of honeyed sweets. And within their fabrics, languages blend. The lilting cadence of French, the rhythmic pulse of Arabic, the sing-song of Italianale, mingling amidst a chorus of medieval Latin. Embracing this dynamic realm means allowing for a temporary blending of identities. Travellers arriving in these melting pots soon find their own experiences enriched by the new and the unfamiliar. As you meander through bustling marketplaces, each conversation becomes an invitation, a tantalizing hint of the diverse worlds outside your own travel's scope. Here, even grizzled sailors and seasoned merchants might pause in wonder, their own tales broadened by those unspoken on their own storied decks. The vibrant life of a trading city is no casual affair. It is structured chaos, calibrated by mutual need and understanding. You witness scribes diligently tallying goods, their quills dipping gracefully into inkwells with a practiced flick. Bankers and money changers conduct their meticulous calculations amid the controlled confusion, their records forming the fiscal backbone of this bustling society. Weighty ledgers mirror the corporeal exchange energies, reflecting not only wealth but alliances and aspirations, binding traders across continents. Historians continue to debate whether such trading hubs were shaped more by accidental convergence or as calculated strategies of trade powers. No matter the origin, each city pulses with a unique spirit, driven by the combined forces of humanity's joint ambitions. The echoes of their bartering voices linger in alleyways long after open-air markets retract their woven canopies. Quirky traditions spring from these cultural intersections. For instance, the languages galore games, where merchants challenge each other to conduct a complete transaction using a mutually unfamiliar tongue. Such linguistic levity is not merely entertainment. It's a testament to the resourcefulness and adaptability of those who traverse cultural divides with grace and humor. Each interaction etches new characters into your storyline, each encounter an unwritten chapter in the eternal book of shared mankind. To pause amid the din and delight of such a thrumming city is to bear witness to humanity in all its intricate variety, a moving, breathing, ever-evolving tapestry. As you wander, allow yourself to become not only an observer, but a participant in this vibrant exchange, haggling over exotic wares, dancing to rhythms both familiar and strange, or sampling delicacies that tease the palate with unheard-of spices. Your palate, like your journey, expands, exploring culinary landscapes that match the diversity of its patrons. The city's life spills over into the evenings as well, where the sun drapes golden shadows over its walls and the streets cool under the caress of twilight. Taverns come alive with vignettes of storytelling and joviality. Tavern keepers bid the world farewell until tomorrow's fresh dawn draws new characters to the ongoing stage of human drama. Amid these cultural confluences, something as simple as an unfamiliar instrument plucked by talented hands or a shared drink between newfound friends creates connections more valuable than gold. Friendship, after all, is a currency that transcends the weight of gold and the allure of gemstones, woven into the tapestry along with silks, spices, and the indelible mark of human interaction and understanding. As you journey through these labyrinthine alleys and grand avenues, allow the rhythm of cultures converging to permeate your senses, weaving its essence into the fabric of who you are, becoming a traveler not only of roads, but of worlds interwoven with humanity's shared spirit. Through the ever-turning augury of markets and mice, discover that each step you take is a reconciling bridge, adding your tale to the epic nomad's tapestry of cross-cultural voyage. Venturing further into the heart of medieval life, your journey leads you to the vibrant and bustling world of medieval fairs. These fairs dot the landscape like colourful jewels, their festivities drawing people from miles around. Imagine approaching the fairground, a tapestry of tents and stalls unfurling before your eyes. The air is electric with excitement, alive with the sounds of laughter, music, and the friendly banter of traders plying their goods. It's as if the entire world has paused to gather here, at this moment, for a celebration of commerce and community. Medieval fairs were events of grand scale, timed harmoniously with the agricultural cycle, which dictated when farmers could leave their fields and merchants could trade their goods. These gatherings transformed ordinary fields into bustling epicenters of trade and recreation, inviting merchants, entertainers, and common folk alike to partake in a kaleidoscope of experiences that blurred the lines between necessity and indulgence. As you step into the fair, the scents of spiced meats and freshly baked pastries wrap around you like a warm embrace. Stalls brim with goods from far and wide, each vendor eager to share the story behind silks, spices, and handcrafted wares. Your senses are overwhelmed by this feast of diversity, where textures and colors spark envy and admiration alike. It feels like stepping into a living tapestry, where each stall represents a different thread woven into the rich fabric of the human experience. Alongside the marketplace hustle and bustle, the fairground brims with entertainers of all stripes. Minstrels wander the paths, their melodies intertwining with the excited chatter, while jugglers and acrobats perform feats of daring that defy logic and gravity. The laughter of children rings out as they chase each other through the crowds, clutching brightly colored ribbons and handmade toys. And, if you listen closely, the hypnotic rhythm of a distant drum signals the start of a dance, inviting all to join in. Despite the outward appearance of chaos, medieval fairs were highly organized affairs, often sanctioned by royal or ecclesiastical authorities. They served as vital hubs of commerce, where deals were struck, alliances formed, and disputes settled. Historians discuss whether these gatherings were primarily economic engines or cultural confluences, though perhaps both perspectives hold truth. Meanwhile, behind stalls brimming with goods, you find tables laid with the usual fare, but sprinkled with exotic eat-spiced pies and honeyed fruits borne from distant lands and rich in flavors that tell stories of their own voyages. Take a hearty bite of an unfamiliar pastry and find yourself lost in the complex sweetness and melange of trade route spices and local tradition concocted into merriment's very flavor. It's not all trade and treasure. The fair is where glimpses of grandeur turn daily concerns aside as whimsical tournaments or spirited contests of skill and strength unfold. Participants compete for honor with bows and blades, their dedication drawing cheering crowds and wagers huddled over meads and makeshift platters. The sport lends itself to partnerships, forged over shared exhilaration, a microcosm of life's myriad adversarial exchanges distilled into good-natured rivalry. Whimsical details color the fair's landscape, be it alchemists selling dubious potions or fortune-tellers interpreting dreams with a knowing gaze. These playful acts capture imagination, granting indulgence in the foolish but delightful moments life has to offer. Men gifted with flair and flair-mark fairgoers with charcoal symbols, giving fleeting notion that they carry the portent of luck, loved by street sparrows and imitated by youthful adventurers, in waiting. Amid the joviality, you sense the fair's capacity for forging new connections. It offers people the chance to meet, exchange tales, and break bread with strangers. In a world where travel could be perilous and isolation more common than company, these fairs transcend barriers of distance and tradition to blend cultures and forge friendships anew. As daylight wanes, the fair evolves, its energy shifting as lanterns cast a warm glow across stalls and pathways. The sound of laughter changes pitch, now deeper, as conversations grow more intimate and stories become more personal. Sharing alongside firelit shadows beneath open sky, your sense of identity subtly alters, enriched by the insights and connections that crossed your path today. As you prepare to leave this vibrant tapestry behind, you carry with you echoes of joy and shared humanity. The fair's energy, both tactile and ethereal, lingers in your heart, alongside distant horizons and whispered promises of reunion. In departing, you find that the true treasure of the medieval fair is not solely in commerce or entertainment, but in the marriage of lives and experiences that sketch life's dance in vibrant, eternal strokezar dance, renewed by every footprint that treads its paths anew. Stepping away from the lively ambience of the fair, your path takes you deeper into the mystical realms of gods and monsters, where the enchanting and often eerie folklore of medieval times breathes life into every shadowed corner and moonlit grove. These stories, passed down through generations, wove the mundane with the fantastic, offering explanations, comfort, and sometimes warnings to travelers brave enough to wander the world's less trodden paths. The village you pass through whispers with tales of long-forgotten deities and spirits, a tapestry of beliefs that clings to the very soil and stones. The sibilant rustle of leaves in a nearby glade might be more than just the wind. It could be the gentle shimmy of fairies, their laughter ethereal and just out of reach. Warm and earthy scents waft toward you, mixed with an undercurrent of something older and deeper, the kind of aroma that resembles ancient chants and night-blooming jasmine. Medieval travelers often found their journeys interwoven with folklore, for the unseen world inhabited by gods, ghosts, and mythical beasts was as palpable as the earth beneath their feet. These stories served as markers, decoration, and cautionary tale alike. Historians continue to debate the roles these narratives played in perpetuating social norms or reinforcing religious teachings, highlighting the intricate dance between myth and reality. A wanderer in this world would share tales by the fireside of dragon sightings, a creature whose very breath scorched the land, its enormous figure casting dread and fascination in equal measure. Whether such things slumbered atop hoarded gold or guarded forgotten pathways, their existence left ripples in the lore of every valley and hilltop. A tip from a timely tale might advise carrying certain talismans said to ward off such creature Sonian hung over a door, or a well-placed horseshoe to disrupt mischief. Venture deeper into the woods, and you might hear whispers of ancient gods who once ruled the realm, whispered by none but the song of the wind through the boughs. Large, moss-covered stones form circles attributed to druids and their mysterious rites, where ceremonies flowed with the lunar tides and wooden staffs met earthen drums. The magic of these sites lies in their story's mystery, traces of divinity in nature chiseled into rocks like runes left behind for those with the eyes to see. Quirky traditions are born where religions and ancient beliefs intermingle. In some regions, you may encounter votive wells, where people throw coins to appease water spirits, or wayside crosses to ward off malevolent forces. A single flower laid at the base of a tree might be more than just an offering. It could carry whispered prayers fastened to heartbeats both hopeful and weary. In these small acts, daily life is imbued with myth, a thread connecting each soul to something greater that transcends time. Encounters with the supernatural are not solely limited to reverence or homage. They evoke courage, fear, and curiosity in equal parts. In the crepuscular hours, painted skies breathe tales of will-o'-the-wisps, elusive lights that beckon the unwary into marshes and swamps. They flicker at the edge of sight, convincing skeptics with a playful charm that dangles the promise of hidden treasuresser, perhaps distracting those skeptical of rule or path. Charming figures in medieval folklore often walked a fine line between the mortal and the mystical. Glimpses of witches, known to both bless and blight equally, resonate across various cultures. Known for their herbal brews and uncanny senses, they occupy a unique spot in the lore, whether feared or revered. They carry the lore of veils between worlds, vibrant and enigmatic, beneath their crafted cauldrons. As dusk settles, the woods shift into a tapestry woven with shadow and light, the stories of gods and monsters coloring the dark with hues of mystery and enchantment. Fairy tale dreams ripple across the surface of reality, offering both warning and delight to those who dare explore. Each step becomes a communion with the past, every whispered leaf and dancing shadow echoing with the same primordial questions and timeless stories. As your journey leads you through this realm of mythology and magic, you find yourself pondering the interplay of light and dark, the seen and the unseen. At their heart, these stories speak to the very essence of humanity's relationship with the unknown, a dance, both reverent and playful, in which every legend adds its thread to life's broader tapestry. As you continue, carrying these tales along with you, they become an indelible part of your journey, a quiet reminder that the boundary between reality and myth is as fluid as the ever-changing tide. As your journey through the medieval landscape continues, you encounter the fervent quest for Hellinger journey, often fraught with hope, superstition, and the allure of miraculous cures. In an era where the unknown loomed large over human understanding, many took to the road, compelled by the allure of healing waters, holy shrines, and renowned healers whose fame spread through tales and whispers. Imagine setting out, heart buoyed by tales of miraculous recoveries believed to be bestowed by saints or spirits in distant lands. The path is well trodden by those seeking solace from ailments both of the body and of the soul. The air is thick with the aroma of earth and herbs, an olfactory reminder of nature's pharmacy where so many remedies find their provenance. The destination for a medieval seeker of health often included a sacred spring or a revered sanctuary, where curative waters or the intercession of a saint promised relief. Some sites offered healing through divine intermediary, churches or shrines acting as conduits to celestial grace. The promise of a miracle, whispered in late-night vigils, wove vibrant threads of hope through the weary fabric of daily life, a glimmer of redemption for pilgrims and patients alike. Particularly famous were the healing powers attributed to certain wells and springs. These waters were believed to possess abilities, infusing them by their sanctification or the historical presence of a saint. At the famed shrine of Saint Winifred in Wales or Lourdes in France, the weary dipped their fingers or full bodies into holy waters, drawing upon faith as much as medicine for their cure. From arthritis to melancholy, pilgrims cast their doubts and pennies into these soothing pools, feeling refreshed beyond the touch of cool liquid alone. While religion played a significant role in medieval healing, it didn't overshadow the contributions from scholars and practitioners of the medical arts. Throughout Europe, from monasteries to Moorish-occupied Spain, scholars toiled over manuscripts filled with herbal wisdom and ancient medical treatises, fused by a multicultural medley of healing traditions. These medical centers became beacons of enlightenment, their shadows offering respite from the fevered nightmares of illness. Quirky remedies found their place alongside deeper medical techniquest treatments, sometimes veering into the mystifying. Mark the humor of pragmatic remedies, from burnt hedgehog furs, meant to cure baldness, to snail slime believed to ease toothaches. Historians speak humorously of the many layers to these cure slayers that may have involved a touch of placebo wrapped gracefully around unanticipated respite. Historians continue to debate the effectiveness of medieval medicine, often heavily grounded in the theories of the humours and the wisdom of Galen. Did these formulations cure more of the mind through patient expectation? Or did the powers of herbs and anointing indeed offer genuine efficacy not yet fully understood? The debate resides at the junction where science meets faith, revealing as much about human hopes as about methodologies. Each journey taken for the sake of healing teams, with tales woven from suffering and redemption. The questions asked at the apothecary's stall merge seamlessly into the whispered prayers at a shrine's hallowed altar. You learn that healing in the medieval world involves a confluence of both body and spirit, the road itself becoming the first stage of recovery. Each step forward, a leap of hope-faith that renewal could lie at journey's end. As evening descends, the glow of the full moon lends its light to the path homeward, reflecting the pilgrim's renewed strength and learned gratitude. The companionship of newfound friends leaves its gentle warmth, shared tales, a balm that joins the salves gleaned from healing waters and revered relics. The resonance of footsteps along ancient cobblestones becomes the pulse of the heart made resilient by expectation, camaraderie, and rejuvenation. As you continue along the road, the pursuit of healing becomes not just a physical quest, but a remedy for the Sula Testament to a deeply rooted belief in the possible, a belief aroused again with every tale of the miraculous. From holy waters and renowned healers to faith-healing journeys, each traveler, refreshed in body or spirit, carries forward the enduring message that health is more than a destination. It is an everlasting hope, born with each dawn anew. As your medieval journey winds along its varied paths, it leads you into the intricate mazes of communication. Here lies the medieval postal system, a vital but ponderous network, where news and messages crept across the land like cautious travelers themselves. Imagine the suspense of awaiting a letter from distant lands, the excitement tinged with the patience required in an age where immediacy existed only in dreams. The only sounds are the occasional snort of horses and the rustle of parchment against satchel, a symphony of uninhibited anticipation. In medieval times, the value of communication cannot be overstated. Each letter, a lifeline bridging vast distances. From lord to vassal, merchant to partner, the art of letter writing was essential, binding everyone from familial bonds to the complex machinations of political intrigue. This method of sending and receiving information relied on the delicate dance of scribes, carriers, and whispers on the winder, far cry from the callous tap of today's keyboards. Picture a network of horsemen and foot runners, a veritable relay, whose members sprinted across familiar and foreign landscapes in their care. Parchment tied with wax or string, carrying words that could sway kingdoms or band distant kin. Known as messengers or couriers, these dedicated individuals braved elements, terrain, and the ever-present danger of bandits with single-minded determination. Deliver the message. Historians still debate whether their importance as communication agents led to the rise of a postal system as prudent necessity or opportunistic enterprise. Regardless, the investment in safe and timely correspondence became a priority. Nobles and monarchs understood the power of information, a veritable gold of influence that could promote peace or incite conflict. Quaint methods of conveying messages emerged through the intricate paths of medieval times, such as carrier pigeons, whose unerring instincts enabled messages to leapfrog substantial distances. Bred specifically for fidelity, these winged intermediaries received dispatches on gossamer strings notes that could emerge upon fields where armies lay or treetop-cloaked hideaway cottages, needing answers unprompted by vexations of random meeting. The postal routes became well-trodden paths, akin to lifelines connecting disparate regions. Major towns served as central nodes, linked by a lattice of more minor pathways, a sprawling cobweb that deftly transferred letters from hand to hand. Post houses, established along these routes, equipped both urgency and sustenance. Wayward travellers and couriers alike took solace in their cavernous hearths, bolstered by stews and stories before carrying on. The mail's journey was often tediously slow, beset by weather and topography, a Lycian endeavour better suited to patience and tenacity than any sense of urgency. Yet, despite these delays, messages bore profound significance as they emerged at their destinations, offering connections to worlds removed in both space and spirit. You find yourself savouring the anticipation and thrill of receiving a letter. Its contents, secrets and news awaited, rendered tangible the breadth of human connection. In the passage of words, you see how the communication of the time rose, like the trickle of a forest brook, gathering strength into a torrent and culminating with the persistent rush within a city's river of humanity. Upon receiving news, couriers assumed the role of heralds, dispatching their burdens with dignity alongside tales of travellers' paths and whispered hearsay from across distant hills. A quirk you might notice amid these networks stands in the person of the town crier shoeing parchment for the high-volume projection earned with booming voices. In markets and squares, they haunt shadowy hours, delivering proclamations or exchanging poetic dirges for newsworthy tales, their voices carrying authority, greeted with cheers or grumbles by the Crowden audio tapestry, encapsulating the living heartbeat of the village once fast in sleep. Today, we are accustomed to near-instantaneous communication, traversing the globe at the speed of light. Yet, the medieval system prized the serenely human scale of correspondence, enriching the written word with time-earned consideration and care. Each missive represents both patience and progressor, tender unfolding of intimacy over distance, crafted in its delivery as much as its content ephemeral yet eternal communication inked in gentle, enduring calligraphy. Known then as now, message received. As your path winds onward, drawing closer toward the glow of a thriving city on the horizon, remember the connections sustained by medieval posts, often slender threads each, twining into broader human stories that span both time and physical realms. Pulsing with the warmth and expectation of words sent long before the modern era's bustle, these letters mutually bear witness to the enduring fortitude of communicatione, silent assurance infused throughout every step, bond, and destination of your journey. As your medieval trek continues, the road intersects with the echo of countless travellers' tales, a tapestry stitched by human memory and imagination. It's an age where storytelling reigns supreme, each tale passed down serving as both entertainment and an oral history, a means of understanding a complex and often mystical world. The air crackles with the energy of these stories, as though the very landscape was steeped in narrative hills and valleys, whispering secrets long held. Picture yourself gathered around a fire under the expansive night sky, its celestial beauty mirrored in the stories shared among travellers. The crackling flames cast flickering shadows that dance across faces, transforming listeners into a captive audience, their expressions alight with wonder and anticipation. Each traveller contributes to this collective narrative, a shared authorship of life's adventure, replete with triumphs, failures, and the eternal human quest for understanding. In medieval times, these travellers' tales filled the hours as the night wrapped its velvet arms around weary bodies and eager minds. These stories were far more than idle entertainment. They were sustenance, binding disparate souls together along their respective journeys. The roads and paths are the veins through which tales flow, bringing disparate travellers into transient communitia, microcosm of society on the move. Listeners absorbed every detail of wondrous adventures, towering mountains climbed, magical beasts confronted, and lost cities discovered amid the tangled woodlands. Each narrative is an intricately woven tapestry, its threads shimmering with embellishments crafted by the teller's imagination. Even the more outlandish tales serve a purpose, shining light on timeless truths about courage, folly, and the inexhaustible human spirit. Historians often debate the degree to which these tales were rooted in fact, or merely vehicles for moral education. Were they manipulated retellings of real events, or profoundly creative expressions intended to instruct and inspire? Whatever the case, the stories captured the heart and mind of their audience, etching memories into the collective human consciousness that even today sound as familiar as an ancient echo. Amid the tales of grandeur, there are also quirky, humorous account stories of hapless knights who wound up charmed by dragonettes rather than slain by dragons, or mischievous fey tales comprising fruit-stealing sprites and worms, bestowing unexpected blessings. Laughter peals like a universal bell of camaraderie, its echoes sweeping through the camp, dispelling shadows both internal and external. Sometimes the boundaries of imagination and reality blur, blending shadows of truth with the bright threads of fantasy until both occupy space. The retelling of Notorious Bandit exploits morphs easily into murmurs of the supernatural of fairy queens disguised as mortal temptresses within bewitched glades, mistakenly offering luck for freedom. And when a trickster's tale elicits gasps and bursts of mirth, Edgar knows to flinch at the blow before it lands, as predictable as it may be. In addition to fairy tales and legends, more practical stories emerge, accounts seeded with wisdom, born of individuals' own wanderings. You learn that tales of the best routes through forests, secret resting spots away from predators, or details of the peculiar customs of a distant village become invaluable lore shared through these narratives. While perhaps less enthralling, these tales form a practical guidebook, bearing the underpinnings of survival and respect on nature's sometimes unforgiving stage. Though with varying names and settings, the characters in these stories embody universal archetypes, heroes and villains, tricksters and wise ones figures who navigate the human conditions, rivers and rapids, offering a refraction of life itself through the prism of their adventures. Listeners find solace in their presence, reflecting on the infinite diversity of the human experience mirrored in story form. As the fire dims and embers take on their gentle glow, there remains time for one last tailor-fitting finale, wherein the hero, by wit or might, overcomes both external obstacles and internal frailty, hinting at redemption's gentle caress. This timeless motif punctuates each narrative as the ultimate artifact, proclaiming to all who've gathered in its embrace that journeys, whether spoken in myth or marked by footfalls, possess the power to transform and renew. And so, as dawn breaks, ready to greet the roll of new horizons, remember that you carry these tales forward into the world a sacred trust, an eternal exchange with fellow travelers that lifts and shapes our shared journey, casting human expression's shadows across every threshold. For it is in such stories woven together by travelers' souls that the endless horizons of imagination and reality continue their dialoguing among stars beyond time's reach. As your adventure through the medieval landscape unfolds, you become acutely aware of the undercurrent that governs every step taken, the intricate system of law and order that seeks to balance freedom and control. Picture yourself walking into a bustling town square where the cobblestones reflect a spectrum of human interactions. The architecture rises around you like sentinels dedicated to structure and justice, each edifice etched with the history of countless disputes and resolutions. Medieval legal systems were as varied as the lands they governed, each presenting a patchwork quilt of jurisdiction wherein local customs entwined with written law. Every region bore its own system, a blend of tradition and the codified principles set by reigning powers. As you navigate this complex landscape, the very air crackles with the authority of decree and the whispers of those who managed to maneuver through a terrain where law and liberty were in perpetual dialogue. The local courts, crucial hubs of medieval justice, are helmed by sheriffs, bailiffs, or reeves figures of merit and influence, their eyes as sharp as the ink quills they use to record judgments. As you pass the quarter sessions or the manorial courts, their stonework etched with the shadows of proclamations, you catch fragments of formal proceedings that drift amid the market's cacophony. A jurist's voice, steady and clear, resounding with the pronouncements that alter lives in mere spoken words. Amidst the more conventional forms of justice, you'll find trials by Ordea to peculiar embrace of faith and fear at medieval law's quirkier fringes. Whether plunged into cold water to reveal their sins or walked across hot irons with hope for innocence unscathed, individuals face trials sanctioned by otherworldly favor. Historians align such customs with the vestiges of earlier belief systems, a constant dance of conviction that appears as much theatre as adjudication. The law, for each medieval community, was both respected and sometimes feared, a double-edged sword of prevailing order that regulated life's essential structure. Sheriffs collected fines for misdemeanors that ranged from the theft of bread to breaches of moral truce, their simple justice taking shape within the scales of a haphazard consistency. Bystanders might share knowing glance's silent acknowledgement that the wheel of justice turned with unpredictable cadence. The proclamation of law resonated beyond the courts, evident in the royal decrees announced with gravitas by heralds in markets and squares. These announcements served as the era's news broadcasts, their booming voices competing with the daily bustle to herald shifts in policy or governance. Like invisible lines marked across the land, such decrees delineated where power lay, a constant reminder of a distant king's gaze. Historians debate whether these legal systems protected the vulnerable or quelled dissent. Were they righteous arbiters or pragmatic controllers? The answer lies tangled in the parchment and memory of those who felt justice's love and wrath in equal measure. Amid the grind of law and order are the colourful rituals of feudal obligation, a layered system where lords and vassals weave a tapestry of mutual duty. Hospitality, alongside service in arms, characterizes that subtle dance of rights and favors perpetually exchanged, an entrenched structure supporting society's walls. Though formal justice forms life's solid architecture, the unwritten rules of honor and repute are its living spirit. Medieval travelers often relied on personal bonds and oaths to smooth out their journey, trusting in the spoken assurances exchanged between themselves and their hosta, tapestry of obligation woven with shared understanding and mutual benefits. Furthermore, quirky local customs intertwine with more solemn rites. Witness the annual ritual of the assize of bread and ale, clocked by market inspectors, testing measures for fair trade and honest living. Underneath embodiment of utmost authority, the law you sense breathes just as lifelike as the air you draw. Bright aspirations kindled when folks unite against crooked scales. Here, justice maintains its dance, inviting you to step forward, a poised assurance that bends toward fairness under the weighty strains of principle and power. As you leave the square, a last glance toward the looming figures of authority etches itself upon memory's slat, not merely as concrete execution, but as ideas and ambitions formed of both conviction and uncertainty, unique human narrative coaxed into living expression. And with each stride, you embrace the knowledge of this intricate tapestry, weaving an unbroken line between the past and present that pulses onward amid the ebbs of change and continuity across time's stage. As your medieval journey continues, you find yourself acutely aware of the looming shadow of bandits, a threat that renders every traveler, merchant, and pilgrim wary. The tree-lined roads and forested paths, while picturesque and serene, often hum with the tension of potential danger. The tales of thievery and highwaymen swirl like eddies in the communal fears and fireside whispers, each retelling shifting like the shadows cast by moonlight filtering through leaves. Banditry, in the medieval era, presented a prevalent and formidable challenge, with roads and trade routes frequently haunted by ne'er-do-wells seeking fortune by preying upon passers-by. It was a time of evolving societies where vast stretches of wilderness provided sanctuary and cover to those who chose a life outside the law, though paradoxically, these very landscapes also concealed sanctuaries from watchful eyes, offering travelers a respite from such harmful intentions. Picture traveling along a narrow, winding path, flanked by dense foliage. Each rustle in the leaves, each soft tread upon twigs, could signal the approach of another fellow traveler, the stirrings of danger. Being on guard becomes second nature, your senses attuned to the forest's language of subtle shifts and signs. The distant echo of a twig snapping underfoot may prompt you to reach for the reassuring heft of a staff or dagger nestled at your side. Historians debate whether the presence of bandits was symptomatic of the socio-economic disparities of the time, reflecting desperation in a world where riches were concentrated in the hands of the few. Whatever the genesis, bandits evolved into legends, immortalized through songs and tales that walk the fine line between infamy and admiration. In some of these stories, bandits even take on the reluctant role of hero, stealing from the oppressors while invoking reluctant admiration. Safeguards emerged to counter these threats. Travelers banded together into caravans or groups, their collective presence a deterrent to bandits who would think twice before risking their necks against superior numbers. Merchants hired guardsmen skilled in the use of sword and bow, ready to protect their burdens of spices, silks, or coin. Nobles would travel with entire retinues, an imposing display of force meant to ward off potential ambush. Ironically, this state of constant vigilance added its own excitement to traveler whisper, of peril lending purpose and camaraderie to those sharing the road. Jokes about imagined bandits or tales of courage and cunning became fond anecdotes passed down through generations. Quirky customs emerged around the presence of bandits, such as travelers tying bells to wagons to alert others of their approach, or marking trees with symbolic knots or cuts to signal safe routes for those who came after them. These subtle signs, left by those who had gone before, offered a type of fellowship among travelers, a network of silent communication binding disparate souls through shared experience. Encounters with bandits inspired a host of legends and superstitions. Perhaps you hear tales of a particular highwayman whose presence was always heralded by the call of an owl, or another whose ghostly spectre was said to haunt a lonely bridge, forever replaying a final, ill-fated ambush. Such stories sprayed, rich in detail, rich in terror, rich in vicarious adventure. While the spectre of banditry loomed omnipresent, it also emboldened innovations in securing travel. Watchtowers and fortified outposts dotted the landscape, offering both refuge and oversight. These sentinels of stone and timber were constructed as counterpoints to roadside taverns, offering sanctuary to weary souls seeking solace from the weariness of endless vigilance. Each new day urges you forward, tracing paths of trust interwoven with uncertainty. As the morning sun crests and bathes the trees in golden light, a pocketful of stories engendered across twilight campfires remains tucked among your most precious supplies, underscoring your recognition that travel transcends mere transit. Is the vibrant interplay of risk, vigilance, and human fellowship. With each step along this journey, you master the delicate lilt between freedom and fear, the knowledge that even shadows teach as much as they protect, and that against all odds, the road continues forward. Every encounter, every risk mitigated, contributes to an ongoing narrative of passage and perseverance, a transformative reflection cradled in the enduring heart of the ever-resilient traveler. With the looming threat of bandits and the ever-present challenges of the road, the importance of rest becomes an undeniable necessity for every traveler. The medieval world holds a unique charm when it comes to moments of rest, where the hustle of day-long journeys gives way to the tranquility of nightfall or the soothing pause of midday respite. Picture yourself finding a peaceful grove, its canopy forming a natural shelter that beckons weary souls with quiet grace. Rest in the medieval era was as varied as the landscape itself. At times, rest might mean camping under the vast expanse of the night sky, where stars display their eternal dance across a velvet expanse dotted with endless possibilities. The crackle of a small campfire provides warmth and a soft glow that banishes the night's chill, its embers storytelling companions flickering alongside the breaths of slumbering pilgrims. Each flicker whispers in tandem with the world around, a cricket's song, the murmur of a gentle breeze, and you, within nature's library, find solace in its pages. The campfire brings fellow travelers together, serving as a beacon of companionship among anonymous wanderers. Tales, both exuberant and sorrowful, echo about challenges faced on the road, binding the hearts of every listener into friendships forged within the warmth of the communal blaze. A shared meal of modest bread and roasted meats heightens this camaraderie. These exchanges sow seeds of trust, secure in the knowledge that tomorrow's path will not be trodden alone. Inns and taverns stand as the town's hospitality heralds along the road, welcoming beacons amidst wilderness, promising safety, warmth, and the sweet relief of a padded bed. As you settle in to rest beneath thatched roofs, the gentle hum of merriment and the ever-present clatter of tankards fills the space. Each murmur is comforting, an assurance of life, held sheltered against the elements' trials. The inn is a bustling microcosm meeting point, where you find chocolatiers and charmers in equal measure, where tired travelers set down stories as liberally as coppers. The innkeeper, adept at reading the room as one might read weather's frown, ensures warmth and sustenance flow freely within timbered walls. Fellow patrons range from bright-eyed minstrels, whose songs linger like traces of sunlight, to merchants recounting tales of marvels and markets, each soul enlivening the narrative fabric with texture and shared reverie. The scholarly debate lingers over whether these inns did more than provide respite. Did they act as informal gathering points for the dissemination of ideas, or serve as catalysts for regional trade? Regardless, the inns and taverns were integral conduits of both rest and livelihood. Symbiotic relation, inviting reflection and refuge beneath steeply pitched thatch and timber. Not all rest is found within four walls. Wayside chapels and quiet hermitages offer lodging too. These sacred spaces, fraught with ambience and prayer, yet free from worldly perturbations, beckon weary wanderers who seek harmony's blessing amid hearth and harmonia calm, mirrored in candlelit prayer and the sacred silence therein. Quirky and endearing customs arise from these serene sanctuaries. Pious travellers might tuck small offerings gloss leaves, or dainty trinkets into eaves and windowsills as tokens of gratitude towards spiritual patrons. Whispered prayers and votive candles leave trails in their wake, infusing a bit of wanderlust into the holy domain by the presence of itinerant spirits open to beseeching kinship with journeys above and within. It is within these mantles of respite, whether starlit grass, bustling hearth, or hallowed quiet, that weary travellers recover the strength to continue. Here, within the woven tapestry of experiences, travellers awaken anew, filled with replenished resolve, ready to tackle whatever the road presents next. As you prepare to resume your journey, you take with you not only a body refreshed, but a spirit invigorated. The embrace of hospitality, a measure of trust extended across the ages, reminds you that while the roads may long stretch before you, solace and safety await, cradled in the arms of moments where rest and reflection entwine as intimate companions to the wandering heart. Each pause, whether ephemeral or enduring, assures you that the world presents its tenderest gift in the bridges it builds between motion and stillness, carrying travellers forward along life's intricate path. In the ever-evolving tapestry of medieval travel, the very roads beneath your feet reflect an intricate history of their own, each cobblestone, dirt path, and bridge retelling tales of their transformations over time. Picture yourself venturing along these ancient arteries, where the texture changes from rutted earth to well-worn stones beneath your boots, each surface a testament to the hands that shaped them and the feet that tread them long before you. Medieval roads emerged unpredictably, shifting in response to whims of commerce, war, or pilgrimage. They were more than mere conduits. They were living lifelines, flexing with the heartbeat of civilizations that constructed them. Innovators of the era crafted an evolving tapestry of trail and thoroughfare, linking distant kingdoms and market towns, each a reflection of human endeavor and aspiration stitched into the land. The Romans first gave shape to these networks, their remnants crisscrossing Europe, providing the skeletal framework from which new roads emerged. Some thoroughfares retained their original grandeur, broad, straight courses marked by stone pavements and expertly engineered bridges, feet less about mastery than shaping their world in purposeful lines. It's here you find intersections where ancient ingenuity sparks a modern chuckle at potholes endured not only now, but then as well. You see firsthand how river crossings become more than logistical endeavors. They are symbols of connection, bridging cultures and lands. Although some medieval crossings rely upon simple ferries or fordable shallows, the sturdy arches of stone bridges denote an evolution in necessary permanence, resilience, standing strong against currents both watery and historical. Historians discuss whether improvements in infrastructure led to economic development or vice versa, pointing to an intriguing symbiosis of road development and societal advancement. The allure of connecting communities spurred not only physical networks, but also the transmission of culture, craft, and innovation across the continent. On your journey, encountering roads of Roman origin offers a moment of reflection, the odd embankment or ancient milestone providing tangible touchstones to antiquity, a dialogue across millennia, inviting footfall in its silent chorus. In other areas, Remnants of Roman occupation are scarcer, leaving wanderers to navigate the remnants of roads mended in patchwork by the knighthood of nature and necessity. Quirky details of road maintenance summon images of curious customs. Consider that local peasants were often responsible for clearing debris and ensuring passable routes, like a medieval subscription to a robust caravan. Did they grumble at their obligations, or accept the privilege granted by widening the horizon? Perhaps somewhere in between, cherished traditions intermingle with toil amongst stories of mud-dragged chariots and all-out jubilation for the newly cobblestone-paved section. The evolving development of roads illuminated the aspirations of medieval societies to improve travel's efficiency. Pilgrims and merchants traced familiar paths worn by collective footsteps and wheeled commerce. Inns and chapels, blacksmiths and markets sprouted along these paths like wildflowers lining a meadow, providing sustenance, shelter, and subplots to unfolding travel narratives. Yet alongside progress was preservation. Toll roads proliferated not only to bolster fiscal upkeep, but also as assertions of authority in territories fiercely contested or heavily travelled, underscoring governance both local and royal. The dawn of the postal relay emerges here, bringing with it tangible traces that whisper not only logistics, but the enduring human impulse to communicate a spark, reigniting vitae's shared experiences with each rhythmic hoofbeat or stubborn donkey trod. These roads now converge toward a crossroads, both real and metaphorical, a juncture where medieval ingenuity meets the gradual march of modern advancement. It is an intersection illuminated by hope and aspiration, a dream that forges the enduring path ahead. With each successive step taken, bear witness to the road's legacy, awed by their assurance in time's continuity. These travelers' threads, weaving connections and carving passage across landscapes, conjure a profound awareness that travel itself is the echo of ancient wanderers, their tentative footfalls merging past with future, urging you onward a whisper amid reverberating miles to discover and redefine the ever-expanding world's horizons. As your medieval journey draws closer to its conclusion, the concept of the return journey looms larger, familiar pathway, made new by transformed perspectives and refreshed insights. Those routes travelled outward, brimming with anticipation and mystery, now resonate with the comfort of familiarity, layered with memories forged and lessons learned. A return carries its own dynamic, a bittersweet blend of completion and reflection, as every stone and shadow offers contemplation. The return journey is often marked by a weight not of burdens but of wisdom, collected on the paths you've tread. The echoes of past conversations and shared experiences linger at every milestone, drawing narrative threads through your expedition's unfolding chapters. Picture yourself retracing steps through landscapes once unexplored, now familiar companions, in your quest on, sensing anew the bonds formed along the way. Every traveler knows the road home is rarely identical to its outbound counterpart. It is an evolving tapestry woven with the wealth of encounters and transformations that travel brings. Paths that once unrolled with the intrigue of undiscovered landscapes now cradle your footfalls with a comforting embrace, each vista greeting you as an old friend. Familiarity taps rhythm across well-worn trails, with markers felt and known, but viewed through a lens enriched by newfound understanding. The return journey often brings with it a unique set of challenges, a term scholars fondly refer to as reverse culture shock. After engaging with foreign lands and diverse peoples, reintegrating into the daily rhythms and rituals of home may prove both comforting and surprisingly jarring. Historians delve into this transition period, exploring how medieval travelers reconciled and assimilated external influences into daily life after long absences. They ponder how these travelers shared their accrued knowledge, fostering the cultural and intellectual currents of the era. Little by little, your load lightens as gifts and tokens acquired along the way distribute into welcoming hands. You share stories of adventure, laughter, and trials that transcend geography more than shop-worn trinkets. These memories weave yet another layer into the vibrant communal tapestry. What quirks did travelers build into homecoming? What idiosyncrasies crafted gentle transition amid hearty welcome? Perhaps it was the simple act of storytelling itself, voices resonating over hearth, fires like the sea's whisper, sharing yarns spun along the road before settling back into familiar patterns. The return from pilgrimage, imparts a special theme upon this journey back, surrounded by ritual. Heroes recount tales of distant shrines and miraculous happeneza, combination of reverent, quiet ambition, and places included in simple trails bridged over ethic. Journey's End stands as a threshold crossed with anticipation and nostalgia, the echo of farewells mingling with the warmth of reunions. The old adage rings true that home is where the heart eyes a truth translating beyond space into the mind's sanctuary. Your journey symbolizes bridges forged and bonds nurtured, reinforcing whether village or city as vibrant centers of community and connectivity. Back amongst family or kindred hosts, the heart reawakens to familiar comforts. Like a favorite tune once silenced and now replayed anew, its chords slightly modified by your changed hands and ever-transforming spirit. Yet perhaps more prevailing than recognizing changes within, the horizon beckons still a tantalizing postlude to trails no longer taken or roads as yet untouched by time's patient hand. Indeed, change hangs delicately, the promise of varied journeys script charted in celestial sextants. As you conclude your odyssey and find yourself upon the doorstep of welcome ground, carry with you the echoes of distant travelsa saga, drawn in woven tapestries and foundational stones. A journey has fueled personal change while strengthening the enduring pillars of humanity itself: curiosity, courage, and connection. Each step, mile, and day breaks barrier anew, casting shadow and light from your chosen perspective, not an end so much as continuing prose in an ever-expanding narrative. Home upon life's vistas, home in wanderlust's unfolding dreams, home where steps are taken forward, carrying within you the chorus of roads traversed, reminding you eternally that both journey and return are bound as one, inseparable, to the pulse of the heart's timeless passage. As you draw near the conclusion of your medieval journey, the path weaves together all the remnants of exploration, a tapestry of memories, experiences, and transformations wrought from each step taken. The landscape that once brimmed with mystery now gently unfurls as a cherished narrative filled with lessons and stories. Welcoming you back to familiar grounds, this return offers not only closure but reflection upon the odyssey traveled through time and space. Your heart brims with reflections of lands traversed and people met, a rich mosaic stitched with the fabric of adventure. The journey's essence, encapsulated in a collection of memories, hums with life, echoing through the corridors of your mind. Those rolling hills, bustling fairs, sacred shrines, and serene forests forever color the way you view the world. Each vista and encounter stands newly renewed with the knowledge accrued, yielding tunes of wisdom composed upon winds and whispers of roads long traveled. Within you resides every path taken, every challenge overcome, each thread woven within the fabric of human connection. The relationships forged during the journey, fleeting though they might have been, form a profound lattice binding your voyage. You carry with you the tales of fellow travelers, the shared laughter, the talk under star-dappled skies, the mutual experiences that remain etched in time's great tapestry. These fragments of shared humanity stitch together your voyage with compassionate understanding. Historians ponder whether these journeys significantly influenced the travelers or acted merely as a temporary escape. Yet far beyond their academic musings lies the tangible truth. The journey shaped a new tapestry woven of experiences. Exploration fosters profound awakening, transforming each explorer both internally and as part of the story's greater fabric. Each return bears the marking of perpetual journeying, a trek walked anew with each retelling and inviting others to seek new perspectives. The echoes of myths and legends accompany you as you ponder the realms journeyed through gods, spirits, and ancient tales intertwining with reality. This blend of the mystical and the mundane enriches your view of life's wondrous complexities, an embrace of the unknown made familiar by shared narratives. As you near journey's conclusion, the night's stars guide you back home, each gleaming softly with nods of encouragement and finality. With each heartbeat, the echoes of tales and songs pulse in unison with the rhythm of the roads traveled. The journey's onset, the cart's creak, the rivers whisper each element, orchestrating the symphony of adventure, known to many who tread similar paths across time. While the road may stretch into the past behind you, the future extends with inviting surprise into vistas unseen. With every step taken, the remnants of your journey echo with the stillness of a well-loved tomeone, half read, half promised, yet fully bound within the pages of memory and experience. With your gaze toward tomorrow, and basking in the warmth of now, remember that the heart of all travel beats in the love of the journey itself. Let this rhythm guide your steps, whether they lead you far from home or draw you ever deeper into the embrace of familiar paths. Through the union of adventure and reflection, may you find comfort and inspiration, echoes of your travels journeying with you always. Sweeping into the twilight, the road awaits whispering eternally, inviting you at last into slumber, weaving your dreams into the timeless cadence of travel's enduring song. And with this final touch, the world envelops you once more, granting rest after vision's quest fulfilled. These hours bring quietude, a bestowed silence of gently lulled reflections, a tribute to the traveller who ventured and returned whole from roads both paved and imagined. Sweet dreams,